Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Bun to Bro. This episode we're going to talk about China's vibrant live streaming sales. Right now is the nighttime and prime time for live streaming shopping in China. Let's first see what it looks like. Right now I'm on Taobao, owned by Alibaba, which is China's Amazon. I know everything is in Mandarin, but here's how I navigate. First click on the live stream, which is in the middle of the app, and then it shows the sellers that I follow. Let's just take this guy, my favorite Austin Lee, as an example. Right now, there are 3.4 million people watching and shopping at the same time. He's selling mosquito repelling sticker for babies.
Oh my god.
Here's where I put in my comment. As you can see in the lower left corner, a lot of people are commenting right now. Also in the lower left corner, you can see right next to the comment box is where you can see the listings. So you can see a number 7 right now. And then if you click on the number 7, you can see all the 7 listings. And then I'll just click on the mosquito sticker listing. And then usually it will pop up when he starts this round of selling for this listing. And once you click on that listing, it's basically the equivalent of the Amazon page where you can place your order directly. And then it takes you to checkout. So it's super convenient. And just to wrap up my introduction of this live selling, on the lower right corner, you can see the 7.4 million something. This is the hotness for this host. Basically, you can click on the heart sign and then add hotness or popularity for this host. That's the gist of it. So Austin does this type of sales almost every night for around 4 hours, in which he sells 40 product listings with 5 minutes each. 5 minutes is enough time for products to be gone. Check this out.
Oh my god.
So do we have similar live streaming here? The closest thing I could find is Amazon Live. So here's what it looks like.
What are the benefits of quality sleep? When you have a morning meeting, you might focus and solve those.
1 hour later.
As you can see, the Amazon Live is really basic, so maybe it's part of Amazon Basics, and I couldn't really do it through the Amazon app. Facebook and Instagram are right now testing water on live streaming sales, so we can probably see something similar coming up in the near future. These days, the young generation of China really takes live streaming for granted. For the live streaming industry as a whole, there are really 3 types of live streaming: shopping, which is e-commerce, gaming, and entertainment. Today I'll be mainly focusing on the shopping category of live streaming, and then I'll use Taobao Live as an example. Let me first give you some numbers. In 2019, Taobao Live had around 250 billion RMB of gross merchandise volume. 250 billion RMB is around 35 billion US dollars. And then gross merchandise volume, or GMV, is a key measurement of the efficiency of e-commerce. A good way to understand GMV is the revenue of an e-commerce is a function of GMV and the fees it charges. If we look at the bigger picture, Taobao Live GMV only accounted for 8% of the total GMV of Taobao or Alibaba. And then here are some numbers for China's live streaming shopping industry. So in 2019, there are about 500 million users, which is around 30% of the entire population. 59% of them are male, 47% are under age 24, 80% of them are under age 30. Tier 1 cities account for 31% of the volume, and Tier 2 cities account for 40%. If you're not familiar with the tier breakdown for Chinese cities, here's what it looks like in a nutshell. Just from the pure numbers, it pretty much indicates that there's huge opportunity in the tier 3 cities and below. So huge growth opportunities, as over 50% of the population are not living in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. The stuff that are sold most during live streaming sales are like jewelry, apparel, and beauty products. However, there are some less common but crazy products like apartments or automobiles. In terms of growth, the number of new sellers and the number of sales are doubling over the same period continuously. Now let's talk about how this business works. There are players in upstream, midstream, and downstream. In the upstream, players are mainly brand owners and factories. They make and supply products. In the middle, there are influencers, so sellers like Austin, and the platforms. For influencers, most of them are managed by multi-channel networks or MCN, or they start their own MCNs. So MCN is actually a very interesting topic, and I could totally do an independent episode just for that. So in a nutshell, there are different types of MCNs. So e-commerce, content, marketing, and ops. And MCNs play different roles for different parties. For platforms, they gather great contents in a highly efficient way. For influencers, MCNs act like agents. They coordinate everything and develop great contents. For brand owners and factories, MCNs help increase volume by multi-channel advertising through their influencers. Based on the ecosystem I just described, we can pretty much draw a flowchart that looks like this. So brand owners and factories, they make and supply products to influencers or MCNs. Influencers live stream sell products on the platforms, aka providing service to the platform. And consumers order from the platform. And at the end, factories, brand owners, ship products directly to the consumers. Now you might be curious how the participants make money. So here's what the revenue distribution looks like. Because eventually brand owners and factories, they collect the revenue from the consumers. So they need to decide what percentage of the sales volume go to the other participants like MCNs and platforms. So usually they give about 20% to 90% of their sales volume to the other participants. Let's say 20%. So now because Taobao Live is owned by Alibaba and Alibaba needs to do a lot of marketing. So Alibaba's Alimama, which is a marketing platform, takes 10% of the cut. That's non-negotiable. So that leaves about 18% of the sales volume to be split among the other players. Taobao Live takes 20% of the sales volume. And then the rest of it needs to be split between MCN and the influencers. Let's say they split even. So as you can see, if the factories give 20% of the sales to be distributed among the other players, influencers can get around 7%, and that's on the conservative side. So for big influencers like Austin, he could usually get much more than 7%. As you might know, in recent years, the concept of Singles Day or November the 11th, 1111, is super big in China. One interesting fact is in 2019, on the Singles Day, Austin did 1 billion RMB in the sales volume. So according to our rough distribution calculation, he could get 7% of the volume. So that will translate to 70 million RMB for him to collect on that day alone. That's a staggering amount. No wonder he could afford a penthouse condo in Shanghai, neighboring with some leading movie stars. That's just a rumor. So now you might want to ask, why is live streaming sales so popular and why can so much stuff be sold every night? The first reason is the existence of influencers. They do a lot of stuff, but in my opinion, they do two great things for consumers like us. The first thing they do is they choose products for their fans. As I said, every night they sell about 30 to 40 listings on average, but that portfolio is what they've narrowed down for us. So they could have hundreds of products to choose from for a night. Selecting products is actually what they do during the day. So they select products and they try on them so that they know pros and cons in order to better inform their consumers or their fans. The second thing they do is they guarantee relatively low price their fans can get. Because they carry such a big volume, they have very huge negotiating power with factories or brand owners. So I'll just tell you a very fun story. So one time, Austin found that some beauty products that he sold were not the lowest priced on the market. And he got so angry with the factory or the brand owner such that he told his fans to return all the products. That might sound crazy, but it really happened. And that action won a ton of loyalty from his fans. And the second reason is the huge number of existing audience on the app, the Taobao app. I'm not talking about Taobao Live, but the Taobao app. So because there's huge traffic going on already, so it's super easy to convert some of the existing users to Taobao Live users. The third reason, which is getting more and more popular recently, is the influence from the celebrities. We are seeing more and more celebrities going into those live streaming sales with some biggest influencers, and they sell together. So imagine you see Leonardo DiCaprio in a live streaming sales and advocating some products. You might not think celebrities would do that, at least here in the States, but the Chinese celebrities really do that. Next, I'm going to bring up some interesting things to consider. So first, is live streaming sales simply an upgrade from TV shopping? Absolutely not. The two reasons are, first, live streaming sales bring interactions, real interactions between the influencers and consumers. As you saw, I could put in my comments and it would pop up on the screen, and then the influencers will actually read the comments and then reply to their fans. I've seen consumers complaining about things get sold out in a few seconds. The influencers or the sellers will say, we're going to restock 10,000 more. So that's real-time interactions right there. The second reason is the creation of the fan base. We've all done or we've seen TV shopping before. No matter who's selling on the TV, we just pull up our phone and place the order. We don't care who's really selling the product. But live streaming sales, on the other hand, create a bond between the fans and the influencers. And that converts to stickiness or rapport, such that fans will keep buying from the same person. The next question is, can influencers be skipped over? Can factories or brand owners go straight to the consumers? So it turns out skipping influencers is not going to work so well. 3 reasons. So first, influencers can gather huge volume, which factories can't easily do. Second, influencers make selling super entertaining to catch more eyeballs. Third, influencers can start their own brands. This is actually what many foreign influencers do. You can see a lot of big YouTubers, Instagrammers, they have their own brands. So I'm going to talk about the foreign model later. So now that we know influencers are important, they actually also make the supply chain super efficient. So in fact, this model gets rid of the distributors or the middlemen. Now the demand goes straight from platforms to factories. Now the factories know the consumer's needs, so it's really easy to predict how much product they need to make. And that at the end could save huge inventory costs, and then also it helps factories to get rid of their stagnant inventories. Now the factory has volume, but they don't have to do much advertising or marketing. Isn't that great? Now let's revisit the influencers plus celebrity combo. You might not think it's gonna work, but it actually works super well. So here's why. So celebrities, a lot of them are brand ambassadors. So for example, when an influencer is selling a particular brand, the brand itself could invite their brand ambassador or a celebrity to come to the live streaming sales. And then the celebrities, they have a fan base to begin with, right? Their job is to create emotions for, first of all, their own fans, and then the fans of the influencers or whoever is watching the live streaming sales. The influencers, on the other hand, they look into the rational side of things. They know the products really well, and they even compare the products with similar products. Now you have both emotional and rational stuff, and that can make selling super easy. However, the celebrity doing sales is kind of tricky because it's really easy to cause confusion on celebrities' identities. On Taobao Live at least, there are some celebrities doing live streaming sales right now. If they do well, they could totally switch to a whole different world, doing 100% live streaming for a living. However, if they lose, they couldn't really even do their own business because now the audience or consumers are confused about what they really do. Are they actors, hosts, or they sell stuff? And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of celebrities don't want to get into this, or maybe that's why they're a little hesitating about this. And the next thing I want to talk about is live streaming sales creates huge opportunities for less known players like farmers. So for example, we know China is relatively more developed on the East Coast compared to the inland provinces, especially in the West. I've seen an increasing number of farmers in the West provinces, in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region. They sell their signature fruits like melons, and then they're very well received. They become super popular among their fans or consumers. It's unimaginable how they could sell so much products if they were to do the conventional way. And that led me to think, what if the farmers in the US or in Canada could do the same? We know a lot of farmers, they're harmed by the recent trade war. So we've heard a lot of farmers, for example, in Iowa, they're complaining about the trade war. So what if they could live stream sell? Or maybe they won't complain as much, even without the subsidies. Another example, lobster fishermen in Maine, they're losing to their Canadian counterparts because of the trade war. The Chinese market is no longer purchasing lobsters from them. So what if they could do live streaming sales directly? That could make things a lot better, right? Next, I want to talk about the opportunities that live streaming could bring during the pandemic. So in February this year, which is the peak of the COVID-19 in China, the number of new sellers on Taobao Live increased by 700%. So I don't believe Chinese government has provided much subsidies to small businesses. So what a lot of people did was to switch their business from wherever to live streaming platforms. And then they at least survived this pandemic after the fact. What if people could also do that here, right? Would the employment number be a lot better? Last but not least, I want to talk about the prospect of having live streaming platforms outside of China. Right now, I've seen a lot of prominent YouTubers and Instagrammers launching their own brands or websites and sell stuff through there. What I've seen is they would do live streaming on YouTube or Instagram, but we could not buy directly from those platforms, which is kind of bothersome because we actually have to go to a different site to purchase the products. At the beginning of this video, we saw how Amazon Live looks, right? Apparently, Facebook and Instagram are testing their own version of live streaming shopping, and then we can probably see some prototypes coming up in the near future. And they should have very good potential because first, Taobao Live is not available in English, and Facebook and Instagram, they have a huge user base already. So they could really tap into the benefits I just mentioned earlier in the video. Basically, that's all I want to say about live streaming sales in China. Unfortunately, I don't get to really join the party because first, there's 12-hour difference, and I don't have my own bank account on Taobao. So I would have to buy stuff with my parents' account, which kind of sucks. And I'm really eager to see any Western platforms can adapt to this model. If you know any platform is doing live streaming sales besides Amazon, comment down below and let me know. And as always, let me know what other topics you want to learn about China, and I will try my best to make a fun episode for you. I'll see you in the next episode. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe.